that a recording's happening at your side, just so you're
Right,
aware.
So I just do continue. Yeah.
Yes, you should. If it's popped up at your side, yeah, you just do continue, and that's you just confirming that you're aware that it's actually being recorded from that side.
Done. So just give me a good chance of looking back at it then.
That's okay. And so what I'll do at the end of this session is I will save the file and I'll upload it onto the back of YouTube privately, and then I'll email you across a link. And it's only something that the two of us will be able to see from that side. So essentially your voice won't be heard by people out with the two of us.
Yes, okay.
So with Wix, I'm logged into my account now because obviously you've said that you've given it a bit of a bash. I'm going to assume that you've got an account in place already.
Yeah, but I can't remember the...
That's okay. If you don't have it, don't worry. All you would do is you would go to it's probably going to take me back to the same screen. As a matter of fact, it is, yeah. You go to wix.com, and up in the top right-hand corner, there was a login button, and it'll ask you to put an email address and a password. If you can't remember your password, you can put in, there's a box, sorry, to say, forgot my password. It asks you for your email address, and it'll send you through options to reset that password for you. Okay. Once you log in, you will be greeted by essentially what I have sitting on the screen here. You will see I've got these are like demo websites that are sitting. So if you've already started to build one, it will be sitting in one of these boxes. I'd imagine you'll just have one here from that side. If you wanted to completely start again in comparison to carrying on with the one that you've started, all you would do is click create new site. If you want to carry on working on one you've started on, you just click on the one that you want to go for, is the way to think about it.
Yeah.
Now, for this demo, I'll do create new site from that side. You should see it opens up. Hopefully at your side of things, you're seeing the exact same as me. Pops up, say what kind of website you're creating.
Yeah.
Perfect. So this is where we have to see how Wix is going to classify things. So I've started typing accommodation, and we can see accommodation now. The reason it asks is that it wants to then be able to potentially recommend some templates we might want to consider. You could really put anything at all into that box, and it'll still take you through to essentially the same screen that we have here. Now, because I put accommodation in, it said, well, actually accommodation falls into their category of travel and tourism. And then it's got a couple of other little subcategories you can filter by if you want. Yep. And what we're basically doing here is browsing styles of website is the way to think about it. So if we were to kind of scroll down now, if I stop the screen here, is there anything on this screen that you think, oh, that maybe looks all right? Don't worry if there's not, we can still do the demo.
Which one would you suggest?
Well, it probably depends what you want your website to do, but what I can do is I can show you a way that I wouldn't, if it was me browsing to pick, what you can do is if you hover over any of them, you get a little pop-up where you can do view, and it'll show you a preview of each of the websites.
Okay.
So I've literally picked the first one which has appeared here, okay, which is called Vacation Rental Company, which is a lovely name, but this is the demo from that side. So what we can then see is how it's styled. Now, what I need to stress with Wix is any colors you see, any fonts you see, any boxes with pictures or text, everything is changeable. It's purely, this is the kind of out the box style we're going to pick, and then you kind of tinker would be the way to think about it. So this one that we've picked here for a quick look around essentially has this format in place. I would normally look at the home page, which is the first page that we were on, and then I'd pick something off the menu just to see how other pages look. Now, personally, I don't really like this one. You might like it, you might not.
No.
So I would close that, and then I'd go back to the drawing board, and essentially I would work my way through a few of these would be the way to think about it. Now, when I would design websites, and from a modern website design perspective, we try to use white space and bold imagery to try and captivate and draw people in. So I'm going to skip a few of the darker ones where you can see this one which says, well, Adventure Tour Company or Welcome to Mount Sleep, which is like a black header and stuff. I'm going to skip those just now, but I'll pick another one. We'll pick this one, which is again called Adventure Tour Company. I'll click View Demo, and then we'll see what this one's like. So this one has space for a logo up at the top, and navigation at the right-hand side. It's then got a nice big picture with I would call this a call to action, which essentially is a button to get someone to do something. It's got a text box, it's got other little boxes, it's got big pictures in the gallery, it's got some testimonials. Yeah, this isn't too bad at all. Let's check the about page. Again, I don't really mind this one. I would probably tweak it and change it, but I don't mind this one. I prefer it a lot more than the other one. But what you would essentially do is you'd go through this process to find a rough style that you like, would be the way to think about it. So oh, I've clicked edit by mistake on that. Let's do view. I'll close that. We'll do view full demo. I'll just do one more and then we'll just pick one for talking's sake. No, I don't like that one either. So I'll just close that. Let's go back to this one. We'll do edit. The one that you're happy with almost as your base template, you click edit on, and then you'll be greeted by essentially what I've got just now, which is it loading the Wix editor, where we then want to start planning, building, developing our website. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, I'm just going to close that little pop-up, sorry. If my memory serves me correctly, you already have a website structure in place. You've got home, accommodation, location, contact, terms, conditions, and book online. So you've already got a bit of a website structure in place, and you might want to adapt it, you might not, you might be happy, so on and so forth. But what we would normally start doing, so I'm just going to close that wee tab, is thinking about building a structure that we're comfortable with. Before I go too much into the building, I want to give you a quick orientation of what we're actually seeing on the screen just now. Hopefully this should make your own editing process a little bit simpler. The other thing that I must also stress is, and you might have noticed, I talk quite quickly. So if you want me to relook at something, you want to see something again, I move over something too fast, please just stop me and jump in from that side. But what we're greeted with here is what we call the home page. And to say this is the initial landing experience with your own website, this would be your homepage, would be the way to think about it. So what we have here is lots of different parts that are going to highlight blue and orange as I scroll around. These are all the different little boxes that are used to build up the website. Above that, we have a part which says page home. And if I click on that, it's going to give me a little drop down. What it's showing me here is every single page that the template already has pre-built in. Now, I don't have to keep them. I don't have to use them. I can make them all from scratch if I want to, but the demo had these, so it incorporates them for you. If I want to make any changes, I click that Manage Pages button, and then it loads the list of pages. It's got subsections down this left-hand column, and then each of these little subsections has a little menu that comes in. Now, where it says Site Menu Home About Book Online, that reference is over at the right-hand side where we can see Home About Book Online. So that is the one that they call the site menu. So if I wanted to get rid of a page, I could click on the three wee dots and it's going to give me a series of options. So I could do hide or I could do delete. If I click hide, it's going to turn it off in that menu up at the top right-hand corner. But it's kept the page, would be the way to think about it. So if I was kind of making something in the background and I had my website live, I would be making them as, it's almost like a draft would be the way to think about it.
Okay.
If I wanted to change the order, so I want book online before about, I would just grab book online. You'll see I can kind of drag it and move it. Just move it up and it's going to update it over at the right-hand side for me as well.
Okay.
So the actual navigational control is accessed from this upper section, which I say starts with page from that side.
Okay.
If I want to add a page, there's a blue add page button down at the bottom. And then what it will do is it'll say, hey, what kind of page do you want to create? And it'll give you some different templates. Now, you don't have to use any of these templates. The purpose of them is to try and get you thinking about layout and design from that side. And you'll see down the left hand, there's lots of different types of categories and styles of internal content that you might want to consider, is the way to think about it. So if I come back out of here and I close this back off and we swap this back to the home page to just stick with where we were, and we go down this left hand side. So we started off with the top part where it says page home and we're managing pages. The next one down is the add option. And this is where we can add a multitude of different things to our website if we want to. You'll see there's the list, text, image, button, gallery, so on and so forth. And whenever you go into these, there's basically little items that you can click on and add them to your page and drag them and size them accordingly.
Okay.
I'll carry on down this menu and then we'll talk about actually the structure and the building in a wee second. Then we've got the pages, which is the same as that little drop down that we had above. We have theme manager, and that manages that overall style of that template we picked first of all. So if I want to swap some of the colors out, I could. So I could click on here, and if I want to swap the gray, I could click on color preview and I could swap it to, now I remember yours was blue if I remember rightly. So if I want to swap a gray for a blue, let's just pick this here and do add and do apply. What we'll start to do is we'll build up a color palette for the theme of the website.
Okay.
If I go to background, this would more be for if I had a big picture in the background of the website and I can see what I've got here. So at the moment, our one doesn't have anything, which is fine. The app side of things is if you want to bring in, for talking's sake, either one of their free apps or their paid apps. So it's going to load in a wee second to show you what they've got. But things like if you want social media icons, you want an online store, you want to use their booking system, their online calendar, so on and so forth. The media one is for if you upload images to your website, to save you having to upload them every time you want to use them, you can essentially create a bank of online images for you. Or if you've got a social platform like Facebook or Instagram, you can link the account and pull in images that you've maybe posted to those platforms as well. The start blogging one, which is the pen, is for if you add a blog to the website, which some people will use for a news feed or adding some fresh new content. So if you want that, well, we can touch on that slightly later on. Bookings, because this one that we've pulled in has a booking system out the box, it's got this setting for us. We can remove that if we don't want to use it. And the last part is some additional marketing tools that you might want to consider as part of Wix. Now we'll come to the marketing bit at the end of the session as well. But then what I want to talk about is how we actually manage, build, edit a page from that side. So imagine that this is the style that you've picked that you want to go for. Normally, what I would start off with first is ultimately the top of the page. Now we call this the header, which sits up at the top. And when I click into this white box, you'll see it, well, hopefully you can see it's got an orange kind of strip. That basically is that header zone. If I go to the bottom of the page, there'll also be a footer zone. There we go. It's gone orange, and it says change footer design. So every page has a header and a footer. This is a consistent element that runs on every single page of your website, is the way to think about it. So if I make a change on the about page to the header, it's going to make that change to the header on every single page, is the way to think about it. So if I was to say, take out this, where it's, what is it, Urban Nomad Adventures, and yours is Loon's Cottage, right?
Yes.
So let's just say, for talking's sake, we're sticking with that just now. Not that I'm telling you to change your name. What I'm meaning is the placement of text, sorry.
Yeah.
And then I can look through, I can say, well, what kind of font do I want? Well, let's just pick another one. And I'll pick that. Now, do I want it larger? Well, I can just scale it larger if I want to. I can make it smaller if I want to. Let's pick it roughly there, just for talking's sake. Now, what you'll see is, because I made my text huge, our header has gone massive, is the way to think about it. So if I click back on that big white kind of space, I've got my orange bit selected, and I put my mouse to the bottom, I can actually just drag and make it smaller.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
And
it's just like a box in a word.
And the same with, see this big feature image that I was talking about? If I click on it, it's now got a blue highlight around it.
Yeah.
I can just make it smaller. I can make it shorter. I can make it wider. I can drag it. I can move it. And this is the beauty of Wix, is that you can literally move things around with your mouse. So if I make this big image smaller, I then probably want to say, well, let's align my text. So I've grabbed onto my text, and to try and find the center, if I just slowly move my mouse, you'll see a pink line appears.
Yep. Okay.
That lets me know I'm in the center of the page, would be the way to think about it.
Okay.
And grab this and grab my button, just for talking's sake, and I'm going to move it up, and then I'm going to make this smaller again, just because it was giant. And now I've not drastically changed, but I've changed the top of my page.
Okay.
But carrying on with this big feature box, it says change strip background when I click on it. That's where I can, if I want, I can upload an image, or I can pick a background that already exists in
You can
Wix.
take a photo of something.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
imagine you've taken a nice photo, be it a landscape, be it the cottage, whatever it is from that side of tourist attraction, you can upload them and you can pick them. So I'll just pick one for talking's sake from their image bank, and it quickly swaps and adds it into it. Now, if I wanted, I could change this text. So I'll highlight it. I'm going to come to here and make it left aligned. I'm going to change the font. Let's just pick a different font for talking's sake. Now, this might not be easy to see, but we'll try it. I'll make it bold. Can we see it in the white? Oh, it's quite difficult in the white off that background picture. So let's again go back to change strip background. Let's go to settings and let's add a color on our picture and swap the transparency. There we go. So all I'm doing is really tinkering around with it. So all I did was I clicked settings on the image. I've tinkered with the opacity, sorry, and I put a color behind it so that the white stands out a wee bit better. And then I'll put my text here, and then let's move this over to this. Actually, I'm going to click it. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to again change the alignment just to left. I'm going to pop it over to the left-hand side, and I'm going to bring my button over. Now, I can't really see my button very well, so I'll click it, and I'll click on the pen and click design. It's going to let me change how my button looks. If I hover over any of these like preview designs, it'll show me how they might look. Or I can make my own. I'm going to edit this black one. So I'm going to click on the black one and do customize design. And I'm going to change the fill color to, let's just see how this is looking. Let's swap it to white. Now bear with me because it's going to sound silly that I'm going to make it white, but I'm going to then change the hover to blue. And I'm going to come back to here and I'll click on text, and I'm going to click on color, and I'm going to make that black, and I'm going to make the color on that one. So then when I hover over that button, by default it's white, but when I hover over it, it's going to swap to the blue, would be the way to think about it, to try and make it a little bit more visible. And I say this is, to me, the beauty of Wix, is that I can really just kind of add, tinker, change, remove, edit. I could grab that and just stick it over there and come back to it later. I can move that to here. If I don't want that text box, I could literally click on it and then click the delete key on my keyboard and it's gone.
Okay, yeah.
If I make a mistake and think, oh, sugar, I wanted that text, I didn't mean to click delete. Up at the top, you'll see that there's two arrows up in the top right-hand corner. Just click undo and bring it back.
Okay.
And as I say, this is one of the ways that you can edit. So if I was starting to build my homepage, I might say, well, I do want this big picture. Let's just pretend we're happy with this top part, okay? It's where my OCD kicks in and I've got to try and align things properly. I'm looking at that thinking, oh, I wouldn't leave that. But anyway, by the by, we then come down to this box and we think, well, do we need this? Do we like this? And this is the kind of journey we go through with the template, at least to get the homepage up and running. And once you've got the homepage, you could almost duplicate that style and then run with it on other pages, would be the way to think. So do I want this strip? Well, no, let's just click delete, done. It's gone. What do I want instead? Well, let's click on plus. And let's add what we call a strip, which is one of these boxes that runs the whole way across the page. What kind of strip do I want? Let's go to featured and have a look to see. Let's go for this one. Now, it's added this, and by default, it will add your strips to the bottom of your page. So you'll see it's kind of scrolled down to show me where it's gone. But if I grab it and just move it up to where I want, because I've got method to my madness, I'm hopefully going to get up here with it in a wee second. Okay, now underneath that other strip, I'm just going to drop it. And then I might put something like, click here to view current avail. This is where my typo, I'm going to have 1,000 typos and I do apologize. I'm trying to type as fast as I go. And I'm going to add like a little strip underneath. I'm going to, again, tinker with size, alignment. I don't want that wee picture. We're going to delete that. And instead, I'm going to come into here and I'm going to add a button. And we'll add this one just for ease. And we'll do this.
It looks so easy when you see it done, doesn't it?
Yes, and in fairness, as I say, I've been in Wix an awful lot over the past, I've said 9 months, it's probably been the last 2 years. I've been quickly showing people how to use Wix, and I'm going to add these little buttons. Now, what I try to do is to think about when someone lands on that website, what do they really want? What kind of information, what experience, and so on and so forth. So for accommodation in my head, I'm like, well, they want to probably see what availability or bookings, or if they can book online, kind of do that side of things. And then they want the other little bits. So I'm just start to grab my other bits of content that are here. So what makes us special? Maybe that's not what that says. Maybe that says our facilities, amenities, whatever it is that you want to put. But ignore that the text doesn't say what we want. I'm going to grab all of these different little snippets and I'm going to move them up slightly. And then I'm going to, again, get the bottom of that box and make it smaller. All the other stuff, I don't want that. Get rid of that. Don't want that. Don't want that. We're going to keep testimonials, so we'll move it up to where we want it. Because in the tourism industry, we like testimonials. We'll put that there. Now, as I've been doing all of these little things, it's going to change how the website looks. So if I go up to the top and click on preview, it's going to show me how someone that visits the website would see it. So I made the change to that button that says let's go. When you hover over it, in theory, it should go blue, and it does. I added this little button. I've not done anything with it yet, but I've added this button. I brought this up. I brought testimonials up, and I've still got lots of empty space where there was the other things that I've not dealt with yet. But throughout the process, I can preview how it looks.
Yeah.
If I go to the top left, it tells me that I'm previewing it in desktop mode. I can also look to see how it would look on a mobile phone if I want to.
Okay.
And again, it's quite nice to be able to do that as you go through the process, just to see how your customers would be seeing it. Now, go back to editor. I just click on the back to editor button back up in that top right-hand corner. Now, I did notice that I wasn't too happy with how that sat because it was a wee bit too high. So again, just grab it, move it down. Want to change the text, just click on it. Well, I double clicked, sorry, on it. It'll highlight it. I can type in the box. I can change the font, the color, the size, all those types of things in here.
Yep.
Now, in the testimonial side, again, you'll see that it has a quote and a smaller bit of font. You just manage these in the exact same way as your text. You click on it, you highlight it, you tweak it. Now, if you wanted, you could add pictures to these. Sorry, I clicked on something by mistake. So I could click on here, do plus, and we'll add image, and I'll just pick an image that's in Wix just now instead of uploading one. If you had one on your computer, you'd pick upload image. Yep. Let's just pick this one for ease because it's at the top. We'll do add to page. And now when an image comes in, you'll see that it's got a box around it and little white dots, hopefully in each corner. You just grab the corner, scale it to the size you want it to, and I could then put that there.
Okay.
And I could then start to add a series of images. Now, obviously, I'm doing testimonials here, but this could potentially be, if I jump back to your website and we go to accommodation, it could be these photos that you've got.
Yes.
And we could start to make sure I get the right tab. We could start to build up this kind of process. Now, what you touched on earlier is it seems all very, very easy when you're watching someone do it. But the nice thing about Wix is, one, it's got a very, very powerful undo and redo memory. It'll go back normally about 20 to 30 things that you've done. The other part is you don't have to put anything live until you're happy with it.
Okay.
So you can continue to tinker. And in most cases, what I tell people to do is to plan what their website's going to be. And I say, you've kind of already got this structure in place. You've got home, accommodation, location, contact, T's and C's, and book online. So you've got your website structure. And then it's about thinking about each page as you go. So thinking, right, I've got a homepage, let's build it. Now, once I've got the homepage, what comes next?
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I say I do appreciate I'm kind of firing through it very, very quickly.
No, this is why I wanted you to record it.
And then, as I say, it's more just a case of clicking on things. If you want it, you keep it. If you don't, you remove it. Now, this one has a kind of, is it a grey kind of beige background to it? Well. So if I click on that, I don't really like that. Again, personal preference. If I click color, I could then pick a color from a predefined one that I've got, or I could do add color and I can just pick whatever color I want it to be, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
So I say it's completely up to you how you want to do any of that side of things, but it has that kind of extreme flexibility built into the platform that you can kind of change anything that you want as you go, so that it builds up almost like a color palette, so that when you go to create something new, it's always available for you.
Yeah.
So once you start to piece your website together, it's more just a case of, as I say, try to decide what you need and what you don't need. Now, I've got a question for you: is do you do any, for talking sake, social media stuff, or do you have an online presence anywhere else?
No.
No Facebook page or anything?
I have a Facebook page, yes, but not for the cottage, no.
Not for the cottage. Okay. So I was going to say, if you did have a Facebook page for the cottage, I could show you how to bring that in, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that actually is to link to it. So
yes, yeah, I would need to know how to link things.
What I can do is I'll show you how to add that kind of thing. So one way to do it would be to link buttons. So we have a button, as I already kind of added in earlier. And when we look along this little navigation, you'll see there's one which has got a chain lock on it.
Okay, yeah.
And that one says linked. If I go to this one, which we added, wasn't part of the template, and I added myself, it's black, whereas this one was green. So that lets me know there's already a link to this button.
Okay.
This one, because it was new, has no link. So if I click on that chain link icon and click link, it's going to ask me where I want to link it to. Now, if it's a page that's already on my website, I make sure it stays on page here. And over at the right option, it says which page. You click the little drop down and it'll show you every single page on your website. You click the one you want it to go to, and then you do done. And that would make that button linked to, I think I picked the about page, if I remember rightly, when I was clicking that.
Okay.
Now, if I wanted to remove the link, I would click on the button, go to the link, and then I would just go to here. Easier said than done, actually. Where is my edit button? This is where I look like a fool. There we go. Link, and then do none, sorry, and then done. Okay. And that then removes that link. Now, if I wanted to link to a separate page that's not on my website, so I'll just grab your website address, and I click on the button and do link, and then do web address.
Okay.
Paste it in. And then I get the choice of, do I want it to open in a new window or the current window? Now, new window means that it'll open in a new tab in your browser.
Yeah.
And it'll keep your website currently sitting in the background. Current window means that when you click it, it will just go straight to that one. Overwriting your website would be the way to think about it. Yeah. So the kind of rule of thumb on that side is, if it's not on your own website, make it open in a new window. If it is part of your own website, do it as current window.
Okay.
Now you will see that there's other options here, for talking sake. So if there's a phone number up in the navigation up at the top here. If I highlight that, I want to make that a link and click on link and then go to phone number. I could then type in phone number and do done. And what that would then do, you'll see it puts an underline under the phone number at the top. What that would then mean is, on a mobile phone, someone could tap the phone number and it would bring the phone number onto their screen to be able to dial it.
What, say, like, if that was my phone number for the cottage, you mean, for the booking? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So if you're trying to encourage that type of communication, you could do it that way. Now, one of the things that I did do, and I've kept this big empty space for a purpose, is that I removed lots of other functions and features and stuff. Imagine I want to add a contact form. So I literally come into the add to site option. Now you will see that there's lots of different things down here. Now I know that contact forms comes under contact and forms, but if you were looking for something, say you wanted a form, an image, a button, a box, whatever it is, up in that top section here, you'll see there's a search.
Yeah.
If you click it, and this is something that a lot of people don't notice, when you click it, the search box actually opens at the far right hand side of the screen.
Oh yes.
Normally people look and say, well, it's not done anything, because it's
okay. Yeah.
You're used to click and search and your mouse typing into there, if that makes sense. So if I type in button for talking sake and hit return, it's then going to quickly look for the button options, and you'll see that over at this side it's changed to show me buttons.
Yeah.
If I was to swap this to form and hit return, it's going to show me different, oh, I clicked off it, it's going to show me different forms and so on and so forth. So the search function is a phenomenal way of you kind of in your head thinking, what am I actually looking for? Type it into the box and it'll show me where to find it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we'll grab a form. Let's just bring in a form.
And this forms would be used like if somebody was going to fill in for a booking accommodation.
So it could be a contact form, it could be a request for booking, it could be a price quote, it could be feedback, whatever really you fancy. In my head, normally it's either a default contact form or a booking request from that side for you guys. Yeah. So we'll pick contact just now because we'll get a series of bits of information. We'll show you how we can tweak it and change it as well. So here over in this little panel, it's kind of like different previews of ones we want. I'll just grab the first one. I'm going to just click on it and you'll see there's a kind of blue square floating around.
Yeah.
That's the contact form. So if I let go, it's going to drop it into place. It'll take a wee second to load. There we go. And you'll see that it has a blue box around it, which basically says this is the size of your form. Now, what you could do is you could grab your anchors and you could fit them to the edge of your window if you want to. You don't have to. And then if I click on the form, it's still got that blue box around it. You'll see that there's form settings and add new field. So I'm going to do form settings first. I'm going to click it. We're going to get a pop-up box over here. And then we'll see some options that come with it. So if you had, imagine you've got a contact us form, but you've also got a booking inquiry form. What I would encourage you to do is give it a name so that you know which is which. And now the reason why we do that is when it sends you the information by email, it'll then tell you which form it's come through from.
Okay.
So for this one, for talking sake, you could keep it as contact, you could swap it to bookings, whatever you fancy from that side. Where it says email notification, submissions table, form submission, so on and so forth. This is where you decide which email address you want to receive the form, as in the data that someone puts into it. So by default, it will take the email address that you've used on Wix. So you can see for mine, it says alistair@twominds.com. If you wanted to add another one, you just click other emails and add the email address that you want to get it.
Yep.
The submit message was, see how down here it says, thanks for submitting in green. That's only visible when the person hits that submit button.
Okay.
If you want to change that to say, thanks for your inquiry, we'll be in touch within 24 to 48 hours, you can change that. Okay. You can put whatever you fancy into that submission menu. Anything at all is the way to think about it. The other thing that you can do, you'll see here it says show success message, which is what we have in place. Other people sometimes will, once you fill out a booking request for talking sake, take you to like a thank you page. So if you'd made like a page which says, thanks for your booking, blah, 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 with lots of nice pictures, and it was a separate page and not just a wee pop-up message, you could then go to site page or Lightbox and type in or pick your page from your existing pages of your website if you wanted to.
Okay.
So it's got quite a lot of functionality from that side. All of these little options are available too. There's even a payments one if you want to start maybe taking booking deposits for talking sake. But we have here, we've got first name, last name, email, phone, type your message, and a title. I'm going to add new field. And then what you'll see in this pop-up box that I'm kind of moving around just now is lots of other predefined options that you might want to consider. So obviously it depends what the purpose of the form is, but you could start to look to say, well, what other data do I want to gather from people? So we've already got phone number. Let's say for talking sake, we might also want, and you might never want this, but let's just for this demo purpose, we'll say, well, let's add an address. So I've now got the address. Oh, clicked the wrong part. We've now got the address, and if I come off here, we're going to grab the address box, and I'm going to move the paragraph on. So I don't know if you've spotted that, but each of these elements, you just click on and move around.
Yeah, yes, I could see the.
So it doesn't have to be address. It could be dates for talking sake that you want to pick. And within it, you'll see if I click on it, you get an edit field button that pops up. If I click on that, it should show us the text. So enter input field title. So that one says first name. We could always just swap this one to name for talking's sake, and it'll put a little intro bit of text on top of it. And if I come back into here, it's got placeholder text. If you don't want that, you just get rid of it. It's completely up to you how you want to style it, would be the way to think about it. Again, if I go to here, you'll see that there's an option for, do I need this field to be filled in, or do I not, from that side?
All right, yeah.
What I would always stress is, for me, I would always ask for the name and the email, or phone number from that side. So you've definitely got a touch point with people. Again, now I made this box wider than it was, so if I wanted to, now I wouldn't style it like this, but if I wanted to, I could grab boxes, move them around. For talking's sake, you might think, well, actually, I think people would like more text space for this box than that box. You can do that. Some people, for talking's sake, would have a drop down, maybe with like Mr., Mrs., Miss, Doctor, blah, 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 blah. If you wanted, you could make that box nice and small compared to being huge, and so on and so forth. Now, once you've got this in place, if you want it, I would say do your preview mode and put a test through to see how it actually functions for you. Does it submit the information? Does it send it to the right place? And so on and so forth. Now, as you see, obviously I'm ignoring what my text fields are, but if you want, you could pick a design, a layout, and all I'm doing is grabbing and saying, do I like that? That one. Let's make that one thinner for whatever reason I want to. Actually, let's add some checkboxes. Let's see what else we've got. Basic fields. This is what I'm looking for. Radio. This is one. Radio buttons. So now I don't again know, and apologies for this. I'm just using this as an example. Manage choices. You could have choice 1, choice 2, edit, label. Choice 1 could be. I'm trying to think what I might want to gather data for. Breakfast? I don't know. But you know, if you were giving people multiple choice options, you can easily add these. And as you'll see that there's 3, you can add more choices if you want, and you can remove choices. The other thing that you can do is, imagine you've got 3 or 4 options. Some people will sort these by popularity. Some people sort them by alphabetical order, so on and so forth. What you could do is you could have them in whatever order you fancy, then set one as the default, so it's already ticked. And again, if you want rid of something, you click it, click delete, and there it goes. So you could start to build little forms to gather specific information. And I say I worked with, it was actually a B&B, someone that converted their house into a B&B. And what they did was they actually created a page for what type of breakfast you would like to have with your booking. So they had like a traditional Scottish breakfast, continental, I think one was like tea and toast, and one was actually not required. And what they discovered is that a lot of their guests were actually there for talking's sake for business, and they were in a bit of a rush. They'd come and grab a coffee and go, but they kept buying in food. And it helped them kind of cut down on that aspect. But you could potentially go down that route. Maybe it's, are you traveling with pets, or something along those lines? But you could flesh that kind of content out if you wanted to. And this to me is the beauty of Wix, is that you can tinker, and
it's very easily adapted by the looks of it.
Yeah, you can kind of do anything you can imagine, is probably the best way to put it. It's more about allocating time, and also just being comfortable with not actually being able to break it.
That's
Most people that I do Wix training with are terrified of breaking a website.
My fear was that it would go live before I ever did anything.
It will never go live unless you go up here and click this big blue publish button. And when you click that, it will then give you a second chance to say, actually, no, I don't want to publish it. But it will not go live until you do that.
That was my biggest fear, that I was halfway through something or going to do something and then it wasn't right. And I would
So normally what I encourage people to do is to start off with kind of probably what you've done before, is tinkering and playing around with it. And then if you're happy with a page, that's when you consider going live with that one page, not with the whole website. And you roll them out a page at a time, or a couple of pages would be the way to think about it. And that's just so that you're really comfortable with each and every page that you're putting out there. I would also say start with the basics. You start with the home page. You probably start with your accommodation one. I'm thinking about, obviously, The critical side of things in my head for you would be home, accommodation. As a matter of fact, the top four probably from that side before even doing the book online.
Okay.
Is your book online is it free to book or is it someone else?
Yeah, free to book.
So with free to book, you get HTML snippet of code, which is ultimately what you have sitting here. And there's different styles of those. So in theory, you could get the little bit of code from them and have it sitting on, let me just get my page back up. You could have it sitting, instead of this contact form, it could say book online or check availability or whatever you fancy, and make it have a greater impression on the website than it just being kind of tucked away in the corner.
Yeah, okay. It's a lot of playing around.
What was that, sorry?
It's a lot of playing around.
Exactly. And I say also just having the confidence to say, do you know what? I'm just going to add some stuff. And let's add social, right? I'm going to do some Facebook stuff. So let's add the social icons, right? I've got them in. Where do I want them? Actually, I want them visible on every page. I'm going to stick them up in the top. Hopefully they should be dropping in. Oh, I've lost them. Have I put them behind? Let's undo that. See, even I make mistakes. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to do set social links because what I wanted to do was remove the ones I don't want. So let's imagine that you're only on Facebook. We're going to get rid of all these other ones. We'll leave that and we'll do done. We'll grab it. We're going to bring it up into the header and we're just going to pick where we want it to sit. Actually, I'm going to, again, tinkering. Grab that, move that, bring that into here. And Bob's your uncle. I now have a Facebook icon sitting on every single page of the website.
And does that connect automatically?
So you click on the logo, do set social links, and then at the right-hand side, what Facebook page do you want to link it to? And then you would just
that's right,
into here. So by default, you'll see it's actually going to the Wix one. And you wouldn't believe the amount of people whose websites I go to like audit or look at, and I discover all their social icons are pointing to Wix because they forgot to update them. So the normal rule of thumb is when I add these logos, I go in, I say remove the ones that I'm not using, and then make sure that each one that I am using is linked correctly. Just
to
so
the
that
right Facebook page.
Pushing traffic to Wix instead of to you is the way to think about it.
Yeah.
Now, if I wanted, I could put that Facebook logo anywhere is the way to think about it. I can also, I've duplicated it, I've clicked on it, and then I actually used a keyboard shortcut, which is copy and paste, Control-C, Control-V, or I could right click on it and do copy and paste. But I could quickly reuse things that I've already made and put them somewhere else.
Yeah.
I could add my little Facebook icon down here if I wanted to. Imagine I wanted to use this picture again. I could go, so I've clicked on it. If I right click, I can do, where's copy, and then go here and do right click and do paste. And now I've got my image again.
Yeah.
So anything that you make on a page that you think, actually, I'd quite like this on another page, you can just copy and paste and move on.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Now, I'm very aware that I've spoke at you probably for about 45 minutes on this side of things.
No.
We've got about 5 or so minutes left.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want me to quickly show you or talk about on Wix before we wrap things up?
Well, I have got, like, obviously the web page that I have now.
Yes.
How do I get rid of that if I do a new page, and how do I?
So if you were to do it, imagine we're going to use Wix for it from that side of things.
Yeah.
What you would do is you would connect your domain, which is your website address, is the way to think about it.
Okay.
Now, it's been a wee while since I've come in to actually do it. As a matter of fact, it's the top option. I was going to say it's somewhere in this list, but it's the top one here. So settings, then connect domain, and it will take you through the process of how you point your existing one to Wix in comparison to where it's currently going. So for you, you'd pick connected domain you already own.
Yeah.
And then it's going to say, hey, you're on a free version. So I'm on the free version of Wix. You would need to be using one of their premium packages, which is what is popped up with here. I don't know if you looked at the pricing at all for Wix.
I haven't.
Okay. Let me just bring up the pricing side of things for ease. Hopefully I should be able to get back to it. Where are you hiding? There's a fast way to do this. We just type in Wix pricing and it'll take me to the right page. Wix pricing information. Here we go. So to use your existing website domain, it's going to take me through that way. I might need to log out to get it to show me them. Let's just see if we can get around it. It might just keep taking me through a loop, but I'll have a workaround. Bear with me. I'm going to swap to sharing a different tab with you in a wee second. I'm just going to load it without me logged in. Share screen to Wix pricing. So this is essentially the price point for Wix from that side. So as you'll see, they'll say, hey, there's a package you should take, which is what they call the most popular. You definitely don't need to start at the most popular side of things. You're probably talking based on at least what your existing website does, because you're using Free to Book, which is an external booking company, compared to something built into your own website and so on and so forth. You're probably looking at the kind of £3.50 per month option.
Okay.
Now, if you commit to that and you decide, actually, I need something that's in the £6.50, they'll let you upgrade. And on top of that, you can downgrade as well. So just because you've bought in at a certain tier, you're not restricted to that tier, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So normally what I always say to people is start as low as possible and then work up accordingly if you need to. When you scroll through it, it'll tell you what they give you for that price. What I must also stress is the cheapest package, the £3.50 per month one, what you might find occasionally, and you might have seen this yourself if you go to a Wix website, is sometimes you'll see a little strip running along at the bottom of the website, which promotes Wix. I don't know if you've seen that before or not. No. That is when you use the £3.50 one, you'll see it's got Wix ads, which is the third option down.
Okay, yeah.
If you don't want any advertising at all running on your website, you have to go up a tier, would be the way to think about it.
Okay, yeah.
So you're essentially paying to remove that cross-branding aspect.
Okay.
But by swapping to one of the premium ones, you would then get access to, I'm just going to swap back to the other tab that we had open. Where is it? This is when I realize how many tabs I have.
So I would need to pay Wix for obviously doing a web page with them.
Yes.
And then I would still need to pay 123 for my domain.
So yeah, so they're two completely separate entities would be the way to think about it. So if I do stop share just now, and what I'll do is I'll pause the